Hey everyone! So, one of the more interesting game modes that came out a while ago on Global was a game mode by the name of Integrated Strategies. Or, it is more commonly known as Ceobe's Fungimist, or simply just called the roguelike. Personally, I had a blast with that particular game mode, and I think I got around 40 to 50,000 biscuits, maybe even 60. I don't actually remember the number, it's been some time. I did have a handful of friends that even beat me and surpassed into the 100,000s, so the game mode was relatively enjoyed by a good group of people. That said, why don't we go ahead and take the particular rule set, or at least tweak it just a little bit, and try that as a challenge run. Now I'll be using Twilight of Wolumonde for this, and I'll be following the rules that I have kind of tweaked, and I'll share those with you guys in a second. Now, if you're not interested in the rules and are just simply curious about the runs, feel free to skip to this particular time on screen. It's perfectly fine, don't worry about it. Now, much like Ceobe's Fungimist, you would start the run as you normally would. You get 6 hope that you can then use to recruit operators. Each of the rarities would be determining how expensive, in terms of hope, it would be to recruit them. Now, 3 stars and under are no hope, and they're perfectly free to take as much as you'd like. 4 stars will cost 2 hope. 5 stars cost 4, and 6 stars cost 6. Much like Ceobe's Fungimist, you will also get 3 recruiting vouchers to start with for your starting team. Now, to get around the RNG aspect of things that normally kind of come with this, you're allowed to pick the starting 3 operators and their classes. I used to re-roll my runs all the time based on the starting 3 vouchers, so that's pretty much what I'm doing to get around that. Now, I will also say this, they can't all be the same. No Arknights yet. Not yet, anyway. Now, the start also would give you a elite voucher to work with, which would potentially give you a free higher rarity operator to work with. This usually was a free 4-star at the start of the game. In our particular rule set here, we're just going to allow you to straight up choose a 4-star operator of your choice. It doesn't cost any hope whatsoever, so you will be able to start with, at the bare minimum, a 4-star and 2 3-stars, and you'll still keep the 6 hope. However, if you want to, you can spend the 6 hope towards the other 2 operators if you would like to take, I don't know, a 3-star, a 6-star, and a 4-star. That's perfectly fine. Now, since there aren't any artifacts or collectibles to work with, the way we kind of balance that part out is that the operators will have their full kit to work with as soon as you recruit them. There's no need to spend additional hope to unlock their 2nd tier. Outside of that, well, the run begins, so for those of you who have never played the roguelike before, winning a stage is simply just to clear it. You don't need to do a 3-star clear, you can have a few leaks, it's perfectly fine. Now, failing the stage though, that's a complete run ender. You have to start from square one if you lose. If you do win, there are 2 resources that you can get at the end of that particular stage. For me, I went about going this with a wheel that you guys can totally use if you feel it's necessary. If you guys have other means of working with to do this, if you want to try it yourself, knock yourselves out, go ahead and do it however you feel is necessary to handle this. Now, the first resource you can potentially get is more hope. Hope can be awarded for anywhere from 0 to 2. It's not going to give you a lot, and it can potentially give you nothing. But that's just the way it works. You can use this hope to recruit more operators as you get vouchers. Now, you will also get vouchers at the end of each stage. You will get either 1 or 2 depending on how your RNG works. The classes of those particular vouchers is also determined for me by a wheels roll. One last key note here is if you have a voucher and you find yourself in a position where you really don't want to use it, say there's a higher rarity operator you can't get yet and you don't have anyone else to work with for now, or you just simply don't want to use it whatsoever, you can waive that voucher and get an additional hope. So you could technically get at most 4 hope if you get 2 hope bonus and 2 vouchers. Oh, and one last thing I should really mention, this shouldn't be too hard to figure out, but there's no practice runs. You don't get a chance to run the stage with who you have first and plan your strategies out. You're just gonna have to go with it. Though to be fair, if you're doing this, you've probably have done the stages a few times already, in which case, you probably don't have to worry about it whatsoever. Anyway, with the rules out of the way, we can go ahead and dive into my runs. Now, I did 3 runs. The first 2 were interesting, but the last one is a true victory. I will say that. I'm going to be fair about that. I wanted to only put the victory in originally, but I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and keep all 3 in. I think people would like to see those 3 at least, and it probably makes it feel a bit more genuine. I didn't just like rig the game in my favor. So, anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the very first run that I had. I am gonna be completely honest here and simply say that my starting trio ended up being Cruz, Cardigan, and Deep Color. This didn't change at all in any of the 3 runs I did, so I'm gonna spare everybody the time wasted on the first stage by just simply telling you guys what the result of that run would have been. Anyway, let us go ahead and dive in with the first particular run with this trio. Now, the first stage, and really this is going to be the only time, like I said, I'm going to show this particular instance. They're all going to end roughly the same way. Nothing really changes because these 3 operators were chosen by me. This stage, though, wasn't really much of a challenge. I was a little bit worried with how the tentacles would hold up against some of these enemies, but thankfully, Cruz actually made some pretty short work of all of them. I also am kind of thankful I had Deep Color around, because the higher defense enemies weren't too much of an issue thanks to Deep Color attacking with arts. Well, map was cleared, not too bad. Let's see what I get this time. The wheel awarded me with 2 hope, and I got a voucher for a specialist. Now, I remember in the roguelike how powerful Jay was, so I thought, let's go ahead and see how he does here. I don't have him in E2'd yet, but he should still be able to help out where need be. Also, since I didn't have medics, it kind of would help out a lot more to have characters that were self-sustaining. And with the second stage, oh boy. 3 lanes, that's not going to be too great for us to work with. I had to debate how I was going to be guarding where, and, well, unfortunately, I wasn't able to control them that well at the start. I already have a leak. Oh no. The casters were also going to be an issue, but Cruz should be able to cover them, since I believe they only went up the top lane. Now, unfortunately, at this time, Deep Color didn't have a lot of tentacles. So, once they were gone, well, that was it. And once she lost all 4, there's not much she could do besides attack with arts. Sadly, with them making short work of my particular tentacles from Deep Color, I really couldn't stop them from overrunning the top lane, and I unfortunately lost right there from the get-go. Not a great start. Anyway, that puts us already into run attempt number 2. Now, as I said, I'm not going to show the first stage, it's going to be the exact repeat. Regardless of which, the rewards at the end of the stage was very different. I didn't get any hope whatsoever at the start. And this time, I actually got a specialist and a guard voucher. I decided I was going to go ahead and give Jay a second chance and also run with Spectre. With both of them, all of my hope was now gone, at least until I got some more. The reason I chose the 2 of them here was because both of them should be able to somewhat operate without a medic. So, since I don't have a medic, this kind of works out really well in having just a bunch of people that were self-sustaining. Anyway, back to the second stage. Well, this was a lot better this time, as Spectre is a block 3 guard, and that alleviated a lot of the issues I had. Spectre would be holding the top lane alongside Cruz, and, well, honestly, that should be plenty enough to handle the top lane. Deep Color's tentacles still did struggle with the art's melee damage, so Jay would be a nice backup if he was needed. Thankfully this time, the run was a lot smoother to work with, and I passed with no leaks whatsoever. Fortunately though, I didn't get any bonus hope to work with, and I got a Vanguard and Medic voucher. Well, fortunately I don't have any hope to work with, so I'll be taking Fang and Ansel for my next stage. TW3, oh boy, is when they start bringing in the towers. Now, getting control of the tower would be nice, and Cruz definitely could work towards getting it while damaging some of the enemies that would arrive. Jay was needed early to stop some enemies from leaking at the start, and his fast redeploy nature would be a tremendous help here. I did eventually switch out Jay for Spectre to hold the lane, and that made things, well, pretty easy to work with. Jay was later moved to a position on the top left to deal with casters that would eventually come. Now, Cardigan was also there to help prevent the shield boy from getting anywhere. Thankfully, I didn't really need to worry about any arts, as the towers would be able to take them down over time. Over time. Oh boy. Anyway, it wasn't too bad of a run overall, and it didn't take long for me to actually clear this. So, another stage down, and another several to go. This time I did earn 1 hope, which did give me a little bit of things to work with, but unfortunately not enough to recruit anything. I did get a guard voucher, so I ended up taking a freebie and picking up Melantha to work with. TW4, I remember this map. Ugh. The shamans would sacrifice themselves to insta capture the towers, and that was extremely annoying. Let's see how this goes. That middle tower is pretty important, as the healing would definitely help cover what Ansel can't. Melantha, Feng, and Cruz would work on that while holding the top lane. Ansel and Spectre would handle the bottom lane as much as they could. I'm sorry, Suzerain. I completely forgot about you this run. By the way, when you guys were doing these particular stages, did you guys realize that this was S3 Suzerain? Feels a bit overkill for this particular stage, but okay. Holy crap, I forgot how much damage the shamans do. God, thank goodness I have Spectre for that. Her S2 really is going to pay off in terms of the timing for the skill, sure. Not to mention being able to just straight up tank that damage. Spectre did pretty good for the majority of the map, but at the end she did need a little help from Jay, who ended up keeping her alive alongside with Ansel when the shamans were becoming a bigger threat than need be. With all the positions figured out, thankfully, the map wasn't too bad, and hey, that's another one down. No hope. I still have one. What do you want me to do? I only have one. That's a supporter voucher. Yeah, I'll waive that. Orchid's not gonna help me that much. So I think now I'll just say that I have 2 hope, thankfully. And on to the next stage. Oh god. This one looks like so much fun. Well, this did present a problem that I didn't realize at first, but was able to pretty much figure out without too much difficulty. I had to split my ops into 2 groups. This also presented the problem of only having 1 medic. On top of that, I also had to balance out what DPS I did have, alongside with the survivability aspect. I eventually found that I could split it this way. Cardigan is capable of self-healing, and Jay would be able to do his best to keep Cruz and himself standing. Without Cruz, Melantha and Spectre held the left side alongside with Deep Color. Oh, this guy. Well, Deep Color's there for that, I guess. He's just standing there, just taking it. He doesn't even care. I'll also make out a note here that I actually almost would have had a leak, but Deep Color managed to save it right at the end there. What is up with Deep Color and getting these last-minute clutches all of a sudden? It's the second time this has happened. Now, the right side did eventually lose Jay to casters, but Deep Color was ready with her tentacles to provide some extra backup. That didn't sound right. Anyway, with that part particularly handled, this map really wasn't that bad at all. It just looked menacing, but really wasn't that bad. Oh boy, only 1 hope. I would like a bit more than that, but I can't really work with that right now. This does bring me up to a total of 3, and I also got a guard and a vanguard voucher to work with. With this, I decided to bring in Plume and Midnight. I'm hoping I can save up 6 hope so I can grab a 6-star later on. TW6. This map. It's an interesting one considering the enemy's pathing. Getting the towers would also be a huge benefit with the extra needed firepower and just being able to heal your operators when they needed it. Now, Deep Color would originally take care of things at the start. Her and the tentacles should be able to help slowly capture the towers at the beginning there, especially since she can place them anywhere on the map. Looking back at this particular run of mine, my Fang placement probably could have been a little bit better. I could have actually placed her and started working on the top left's tower in terms of capturing it. Unfortunate play there, but the show must go on. Anyway, Cardigan and Midnight would do their best to hold the bottom lane. Considering the large amount of defense enemies that showed up right at the very beginning, Midnight's arts would definitely help out here. Cruz also had to help up on the top left as well, and someone needed to keep the fire off her. So this led to a tentacle holding that for the time being. Oh boy. The shamans. Well, Spectre's working overtime on that one. Oh god. Right, that's gonna be annoying. The stage really wasn't too bad overall though, until the very end when Cardigan got a bit overwhelmed with some of the tougher enemies. She and Midnight did eventually fall, but at least they managed to take out the shaman. With only 2 enemies left standing, this could mean I could let them pass and score. It's not a perfect clear, but hey, a win is a win.
Mission accomplished.
God, I need more hope than this. It's just a slow generation of hope. I only have 4. I did get a specialist voucher, which I guess that gave me an option, but I just decided to waive it in hopes of getting a 6-star next stage. All I needed was one more hope anyway. On to TW7. Oh god, this is the map with the Colossi. Oh, I need to get the towers fast. My initial hold on this particular map wasn't too bad. Fang, Plume, and Cruz did exceptionally well considering the situation. Did have to make a save there. This is starting to look a little bit dicey, actually. Could you not? I need that. Can you not? Tower control was not a fun one here. Now, Spectre did her best at holding them back, but eventually the stun that she had, well, eventually the stun became a problem. Yeah, this is getting really dicey. Oh god. No. 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 Sadly, the 2 shaman and their high damage was enough to end the run. It was a good try. Just not enough. And on to run number 3. Back to the beginning, which meant back to the same 3 operators I was using for the first level. I got 1 hope, giving me a total of 7, and I now have a guard and medic voucher to work with. Now, I could have done Spectre here. I was honestly thinking about it, but in the end I decided to go against that and waive the guard voucher. The reason being is because I figured I'd try something a bit different. I brought Cal instead. Cal and her monster would pretty much be like Spectre with a medic. It would be an interesting thing to try. So, with Cal redeemed though, that did leave me with only 2 hope to work with. Anyway, on to TW2. Now, the formation didn't really change this time, really. I mean, I didn't have Spectre this time, but to be completely honest, Monster really made things a lot more interesting. Oh, thank you, Cruz. Holy crap. It shouldn't be too surprising that this map really wasn't that hard with Monster in play. True damage is kind of nasty. Anyway, with this map cleared, I was able to check out what rewards I would get for it. 1 hope, which brought me to a total of 3, and I got a defender and a supporter voucher. Decided to waive the supporter voucher, bringing me up to 4, and I brought Beagle into the squad. On to TW3 for the 3rd time. Monster made this map interesting, actually. I ended up using him to attack the shield boys and just take them out immediately, and well, I didn't have Jay this time, so he'd also tank the caster's attacks. Bottom lane did struggle a bit with the lack of a solid DPS character, but it still worked out in the end. Cardigan did eventually fall towards the end, but it was covered up by the rest of the group, thankfully. Not a hard run whatsoever, thankfully. I feel like Calcid actually was a pretty good choice here. Anyway, with that particular map finished, we get 2 additional hope, and I get to choose between a defender and a sniper. Ooh. I decided to waive the defender this time. I already have Cardigan and Beagle, so I should be somewhat okay on that. With me having a good number of hope to work with, I decided to snag Blue Poison for this particular run. Given that I have waived the defender tag and I had 6 right beforehand, this now brought me down to 3, with Blue Poison being a 5-star. Now, on to TW4. This was actually pretty interesting. I didn't have a lot of ground characters to work with this time, but thankfully Blue Poison and Cruz, along with a tentacle to hold the middle, was really all I needed for the top lane. Now, Monster did make sure to take care of the bottom lane, and I will definitely say it was not without its close calls. Wasn't really that hard, thankfully, thanks to that. Oh, thank goodness. Not too bad of a run whatsoever on this particular map, and that brings us to the end of that one as well. 2 hope here, definitely going to be pretty helpful, bringing me back up to 5. Unfortunately, I have a Defender and a Vanguard voucher to pick between. I decided this time I was actually going to spend a little bit more hope, and I decided to use my Defender voucher to get Knurl, and the Vanguard voucher would bring me Plume. On to TW5. Once again, I found myself in that same situation where I had to split up my operators and work with balancing out attack power and survivability. This thankfully wasn't too difficult, as Monster covered a large chunk of damage for one particular side, and that cleared that issue on top of the survivability with Calcit. The additions of Knurl and Plume would be, for sure, extremely helpful, especially since Knurl is a pretty solid healer once you've got her S1 at full mastery. Hammer Boy showed up this time and God, true damage is kinda dumb. I honestly kind of feel like it's cheating sometimes, even though they've got these shields. But hey, I ain't gonna complain. Given that the biggest threat on this particular map was handled relatively easily, our operator order also being pretty good, this map really wasn't that much of a struggle whatsoever, leading to a very easy and pretty clean run this time around. Hey, 2 hope, nice, that brings me up to 3, and I only got a medic voucher this time. Given that Calcit is the only medic I really have right now, and a small number of units are in my party that can't be directly healed, I decided to actually settle with Perfumer and her global healing. While it's not crazy strong, the global heal could give a bit more longevity to some of my operators, as well as summons, especially if they were out of range of Cal. On to the 6th map this time around. This one was a lot easier this time. Join the towers was still very important, but I actually found that Calcit's range played perfectly for her here on this map, since she could technically still long-arm heal Monster and stay out of danger. Cruise, Perfumer, Blue Poison, and Deep Color would make things interesting on the left side. Now, the Shaman on the right still made things difficult with losing the tower, but hey, at least Cal was not in range of the tower at all to be attacked by it. Now, I did have to retreat a tentacle later to allow another tentacle to work on capturing another tower. With me capturing this tower, though, I mean, it would offset the damage of the other tower by just healing it back. At that point, I also had Knurl ready to replace Cardigan, and that did lead to a little bit of a better holdout on the bottom. Sadly, though, things still kinda did fall apart at the end, but it wasn't hard to salvage the run, and I actually kinda held out against that final push. With a nice end to that particular map, though, we can move on to the 7th map. Thankfully, I did get 2 more hope here, bringing me right back up to 3, and I got a sniper voucher. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it this time, so I just decided to wave it, giving me 4 hope in total. I was hoping that with this particular stage coming up, I could get 2 more hope, and maybe be able to snag a nice 6-star before the boss started. TW7. Back for a rematch on this map now. I will definitely say without strong vanguards to work with on DP gen, I definitely felt the DP struggle at the beginning. And Deep Color's tentacles are going to be pretty vital for getting those towers up and running, especially with the Colossi clamoring about. Monster was going to be pretty critical here. While I may have enjoyed watching him duke it out with the Colossi, it'd be better if I used his true damage with the overall force in the middle instead. With proper timing on Monster, a good chunk of the enemies were dealt with. Although, sadly, this actually still proved to be too much for him to handle, and he eventually did fall. Thankfully, his stun he gets when he's defeated did give me a little bit of time to get Cardigan down to hold them for a bit. Cardigan, you just gotta hold out a little bit longer, and yes. With Monster back in play, this attempt at TW7 would end with us continuing on to the boss round. And everything that I had hoped for actually happened. I gained 2 additional hope for this particular run, and I got a guard and a vanguard voucher. I decided to not use up hope on the vanguard and picked Fang up for this particular one. Now, I did choose Surtur here as part of what I felt was a victory lap for the whole run, though I will at least admit that I felt a little dirty picking her up in this. On to the final stage with Mudrock. This run could have been much smoother, but You can't expect me to make completely optimal plays right from the get-go, huh? Anyway, the first Colossi definitely showed up, and man, are they tanky. Monsters doing true damage even, and that's still barely putting a dent in them. Thankfully though, it was just long enough of a stall that both towers got under my control, and that did clean him up. Mudrock finally decided to show her face around these parts, and I don't know why. I tried to be really aggressive and attempt to spawn kill with Monster Inserter, but that backfired a bit too quickly with having enemies down there to Monster to deal with, and yeah, I probably should have switched Monster Inserter's positions there because Monster not being in Calcit's range means 0 defense, which isn't great. With that plan having failed and a tower already having switched sides, this was looking to be a bit ugly. Oh god, not both of them. Sadly, with both towers on the right under enemy control, it was impossible for the Colossus to be taken out, giving him the ability to score against me. Things were starting to look a little bit dicey here, especially with this mosh pit of characters going on. Thankfully though, Monster was ready this second time and easily finished up Mudrock on her roundabout way back. Oh god, that was a little scary. Serta was also actually kinda helpful for cleaning up the gauntlet on the left. Yeah, I really could have used her better. I really could have used her better. But I didn't. With that said though, that run was a win. It was still a clear, and I managed to complete the challenge. And, well, felt pretty good actually. So, with that said and done though, that is going to be all for this particular video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this little challenge set that I attempted here. And, hey, feel free to give it a try yourself. If you have any questions about how to handle it, feel free to leave some comments down below. I'll try to address them when I can. But for now, that's going to be all for this particular video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys again real soon for some more Arknights related content. Whether you are a regular viewer or a patron supporting the channel on Patreon, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys all again real soon.